Hello everyone, this is Lynn, and in today's video I will show you how you can create this card using the Frame-Worthy Slimline Die by Crafty Meraki. So first of all, I'm using the Slimline Die, and I'm also combining it with the Pile on the Hugs by My Favorite Things. Furthermore, I will also be using the Slimline Snowdrifts just to create my base. I'm starting this card with the coloring, and I will only be using this one image because I really want her to stand out and then create an amazing background using distress inks. So the paper that I'm using today for my Copic coloring is the Perfect Coloring Paper by Transotype, and this paper requires for me to definitely add 2 layers to get my blending perfect. So how do I color with my Copic markers? I most of the time start with my darkest color and work my way up to my lightest color. There are also people who prefer starting with the lightest color and then continue and building up the color from there. That's perfectly fine. Whatever you feel comfortable with is the way you should do this. I have been trying everything out, and yeah, I just think to not be oversaturating the paper, for me it's best to start with the darkest color. But again, multiple ways to do this to get the same gorgeous results, so just do what you do. So I'm putting the caps always on the left so that you can see which color that I am using for each part of this image. And this girl, I really wanted her to have really bright colored clothes on and accessories to match with the background that I wanted to do. So I'm giving her a combination of purples and yellows, and I think just these two colors together they just jump off your screen or off your card when you're creating one. I truly love it. This color combination of the RVs are my favorite ever. Although there is a great gap between my mid-tone and my lightest one, doing some tip to tip or just keep going back and forth can really help with the blending. For the rest of the coloring, I will put on some background music, and I will be back when this girl is completely colored in. Now I'm just going to correct where I went outside the lines. With the colorless blender it's really easy to do. Sometimes you have to go over it a few times, but it's really handy to have on hand. I think with every Copic coloring I do, I think I at least use it once. I use these scissors by Tim Holtz to fussy cut this image out, and now I'm going to start on my background. So I die cut the biggest frame from the Frame-Worthy Slimline Die by Crafty Meraki. And I did this out of the same paper, the Transotype perfect coloring paper. And now I'm going to ink blend my background. So as you can see, on the side you have the frame, and then you have of course the die cut rectangle that is fitting perfectly inside of the frame that I'm now ink blending. I really like it when I create a really bright and powerful background to have a white frame or a white border around it. And when I assembled this card I was so happy because I have never made such a powerful background, I think. And this frame, the size of it is just perfect to just let this background shine. And I also adore the fact that this frame has stitching details, but that I will show you closer later on. But now I am ink blending my bright colors. I was just figuring out how I was going to do this background. I first had the idea of just purples, and then I thought no, I used also yellow, so there should be some sort of a transition towards yellow in my sky, maybe, if I can. So in the end I am using black soot, dusty Concord, seedless preserves, abandoned coral, dried marigold, squeezed lemonade and spiced marmalade. And I am just so happy with these colors. It took me a while to get the blending perfect, or perfect enough for me, but it took me a while, I must admit. These colors, definitely between the abandoned coral and then the purple, the seedless preserves, it's not that handy to blend, but just keep going back and forth until you're happy with it, and it works as well. So I just kept going and then once that was done I was actually thinking, just like a transition between bright colors, maybe that's not enough. You know, I like from time to time to just feature one image on a card and really let it stand out with an amazing background. I think that can be so powerful. But then again, you must make sure that if you do a simple card that everything is perfect. And I really like the blending, but like not everything is perfect. So splatters can help. But before I'm doing that, I am going to create some snowy hills for the girl to be running on. And therefore I'm using the Slimline Snowdrifts by My Favorite Things. You also have snowdrifts that are not for Slimline cards, but this was just right on hand. So what I also did before I cut these out was that I cut out a second Frame-Worthy Slimline Die, and this way I was sure that the width of this paper was just perfect for my panel. And that was really what I wanted to, because you can definitely also trim your paper to the size you need. But from time to time I am really bad at it and it just goes a bit wonky. I don't know how, or for whatever reason it from time to time doesn't work. But to avoid that, you can always just cut out your same panel again and then use that cutout panel to cut out some borders or whatever you need to add onto your basic panel. So here I'm splattering the Pixie dust, the liquid Pixie dust by Ink on 3, just all over. And then I am going to add my snowy hills. Now I added this one, and checking the second one, I just thought that something was missing. So I decided to cut out a third one to have a bit more layers, also just in the other angle that I don't have yet here. So I just cut it out quickly and then added it in between. And I think this is so much better than my original idea. So adding some liquid glue, also on my third one. And then this is ready. I am heat embossing my sentiments, so first using the Versamark clear embossing ink. I prefer stamping my sentiments twice to make sure that I have a good impression. And the embossing powder that I'm using today is the Ranger Embossing Powder White Super Fine Detail. I'm just tapping off the excess, and then I will heat set this sentiment till it's smooth and melted. And then I can add this panel to the card. So as I said, I cut it the second time to get my snowy hills perfectly. So I can just add these two frames on top of each other to give it some more dimension. And then I am going to add everything to my card base that I have here. I'm using some liquid glue again, that's easy, you have some wiggle room. And then I will inlay the other panel. Making sure that everything is secured on there. I will buff off the excess of the anti-static powder tool, and this way the background really pops. And then I'm adding this one as well. So I still need to add the girl, and I decided to do that first before doing my white paint splatters, because I really like it that the snowflakes that you try to recreate is also onto the images. And with the frame, I was first contemplating whether I would already have the frame there. Actually, with the frame having already in place, the snow is like falling outside of this frame. It's like a picture where the snow is even coming out of. So I like it. But if you prefer having it only on your ink blended panel and your image, or only on your panel, just splatter it before adding it. Okay, so I just added a tiny bit of water, diluted it just a slight bit. If you dilute it too much, then it might happen that when it dries, you will see the other color coming through, which is not the idea of snowflakes. So just a tiny bit of water and then splattering. So once everything is splattered, I am just going to finish off this card by adding some Stickles to this girl. These are diamond Stickles, and once that's added, this card is completely finished. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you of course like the end result. There are two other frames in the Frame-Worthy Slimline Die that are really versatile to use, so definitely check it out if you are interested. If you have questions, you can always leave them down below. We will get back to you as quick as possible. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. We hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you back soon. Bye!